Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hi, everyone. This is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, Marc Guberti. He is a USA Today and Wall Street Journal bestselling author with more than 100,000 students in more than 180 countries enrolled in his online courses. He's the host of the Breakthrough Success podcast and radio show where listeners learn to achieve their breakthroughs. He coaches content creators on how they can attract more traffic to their content and boost revenue. And coming up in January, he's actually coming to Florida, where I live, to show people how to become, listen to this, six-figure authors. And one thing about Marc that I think is really fascinating is that he is such a success at a very young age, and he's actually been an online mentor since he's 11 years old. And I'm not sure how old you are now, Marc, but I imagine about, 20?
21 right now.
21. So this is really exciting for me because obviously I'm not 21 anymore, but I sure wish I was. So tell me more about how people can become six-figure authors.
There's definitely a lot of different ways to achieve that goal. It's not like you sell like all of your books and you make six figures. Like there are some people who do that, and one of the authors who's joined me, because it's me and two fellow authors, one of them uses Amazon ads to make six figures just from his books. So like being able to like invest money into the marketing for your book, because it's not about writing a great book. It's about having a ton of marketing behind the book. So being able to market your book with something like Amazon ads, promoting it to your audience, being able to get reviews is really important. But there are also a lot more people who they don't make six figures from the book royalty sales. They make six figures because maybe they sell a few hundred copies of their books, and then some of those people become clients. So we have the approach where let's sell as many books as possible. The books alone get us there. But then we have the approach where we include affiliate links in the book, because in a Kindle book and an ebook, people can click the links. In my books, I include one of my virtual summits. I include a place where people could book a strategy call with me. So you could get someone who buys your book for like $3, and then like they read that book, and later on they're investing like $300, $400, $500 a month at you because they're one of your clients. So book sales, and what can you do inside of the pages of your book to make more money as well?
That's a really good tip, because I actually wrote a book called Beyond the Bestseller, because what I found when I was working with all of my different clients, which were women, they said after they became the bestseller, what's next? So let's take a little deeper dive and talk about the actual marketing of the book, because I think that's where most people get lost. They think, oh, I've written this great book, and then crickets, and they don't spend any money on marketing. And I think that that's important. So if you're going to be writing a book to help your business, and like you said, the book could either be to help you to get on more stages as a speaker, and then like your co-author or the person you're doing the event with, he actually uses ads on Amazon. And then you just said about putting these links inside the Kindle. How hard is it to create a book that is helping you to market your business? And how do you put those links in the book? Is it difficult?
I mean, the goal of a book is to build a know, like, and trust. And if someone's reading through your whole book, like at the New Media Summit, where we were both a part of, a lot of people picked up YouTube Decoded. And I've been getting emails back from people saying like, hey, I loved your book. Your book's helping me in this kind of way. And that's not the kind of response you normally get if it's just like a blog post. So people are really getting to understand the value that I can provide through reading that book. And then like in the book, I sprinkle in the fact that I'm a coach. So like one of my clients, for instance, I'll talk about a client story at some point in the book because it tells people that, hey, I coach people on this stuff. At the end of the book, I have the call to action where if they want to book a strategy call with me, they can do that. In regards to links, like anytime I mention a resource, like if I mention something like Skillshare, who's one of the sponsors for Breakthrough Success, I'll say pick up your free 2 months with the code Breakthrough, and I'll put a link in the books. Like the word Skillshare is hyperlinked. So when people click on the word Skillshare, they go to that link. And I do this for the resources that I mentioned in my Kindle book. So I'd say it's not too hard to do the links. And then it's just a matter of being able to really give your readers a great experience and have those call to actions at the end.
I actually got your book, The YouTube Decoded, and to tell you the truth, I read your book, and I to be honest, I don't always read every book I pick up, but because it was something of interest, and again, YouTube Decoded is a very good book. Tell me, out of all the people that have contacted you, do they write reviews for you? And if so, that's great. But how do you get people to actually write reviews and put them on Amazon or put them in a place where they can actually benefit you?
Well, in the books, it is good to say at the end, like if you enjoyed this book, leave a review. I'm not sure if I did that with YouTube Decoded. I've done that with some of my past books, but like in your case, like if someone reaches out, tells me they enjoyed the book, I will ask like, hey, can you leave a review for the book? And another thing I do want to, it's just reaching out to people. If they say they liked your book, it's a good opportunity to reach out. One of the things I've seen people do, there's this book called like the One Page Marketing Plan. It's got like over 1,000 reviews. They reached out to me and said, we'll give you a free copy of the book if you leave a review. And the reason they found me was because I had been leaving reviews for other books and leaving my information, like my website, so they could figure out where to contact me. So if you don't have any kind of network yet, you can look at books in your niche that have hundreds of reviews already and dig through the reviewers who leave their information, like email address, website, and reach out to those people telling them about your book. And it's not that much of an investment to send a book over, depending on the size. One thing I do want to mention, I know you read the book YouTube Decoded. That book was short on purpose. It's like maybe 100 pages with a ton of worksheets in there, but like there are books that the reason you mentioned a great point, we don't read all the books we get, is because so many people think you have to write a 200-page book. I only have like 2 of those out of all the books I've written. They're like a 200-page book is really hard to get through, but like an 80 to 90-page book, not as hard to get through.
That's really a good piece of advice, and also the information about how to find people who to review your book. That's a really good piece of advice for everybody listening. So you're going to be in Florida, in Jansen Beach in January. And can you tell me more about what people can expect to learn from this event that you're putting on?
So I'm putting this event together with 2 other authors. We all bring a lot of skill sets to the table, and it's pretty much going to be, if you want to make 6 figures with your book, this is going to be an event that helps you big time. We give you all the knowledge. We like guide you along the process. I know there are like a bunch of training courses that promise something similar, but we are actually with you at the venue, which is a beachfront property. And we are able to guide you through the process. So instead of like a ton of videos like telling you what to do and then you do it, it's like, hey, Joe, I see your book's on this. Here's some specific things for your book. Or, hey, Susan, I see you're doing this with your self-publishing. This is a good tip for you. So it's more personalized, and we go super deep. I mean, Amazon ads, that's going to be in there because a lot of people, they miss out on a big segment because they don't target people in like other parts of the world. So like, it's not like Facebook ads where you could target anyone on any continent in any country, but like Amazon, like it's ams.amazon.com, Amazon ads. But if you got to create accounts for like the UK, for Germany, for like all these other places, so you could target those readers who aren't in your home country. And that is a really great opportunity to leverage Amazon ads. So that's just one of the things. We also talk about using a book to fuel your business, because like in the case I mentioned, you get someone to buy your $3 book, then someone becomes your client. And my example is $300 per month. I may raise those prices eventually. I have different tiers, but there are some people who they get like $10,000, $20,000 clients from their books. So it's like with those kinds of numbers, it's not too many of those type of clients you need to hit six figures. So that's just some of the stuff that we're going to talk about. We're going to really hone in on the content as we get closer to the event.
So at this event that you're putting on, it's actually more of when people are coming, it's more like a workshop. They're actually going to be doing hands-on working on their individual projects.
We're piecing that together. There's going to be some of a workshop element. There's going to be some of a masterminding element, because we want it to be a incredible experience for all the people involved, where not only do they enjoy themselves to get a ton of knowledge, but they actually leave us something impactful, and they leave like being able to take action instead of just going through another training course. And like only 3% of people who go through training courses actually do the work.
Well, and I know you have a lot of experience with that, because if you've had all of those courses on Udemy, which is a educational platform, I'm sure you have a lot of statistics on how many people do the work. So what would you say for people who are thinking about using a book for their business? And again, I'm talking from the frame of not a book of poetry or a fiction novel, but a business type book, so that you can use it. Say you're a coach or you're somebody with a brick and mortar business. What type of book, if you're going to start, would you suggest they start with?
It's definitely different for a lot of people. I would definitely say start a book that kind of aligns with the things you're already offering. That's a good place I would start. So if you offer like some training course on a topic, create a book on it. If you offer like products, like physical products, offer a book that kind of relates to those products. So I would look at your existing core business and write a book that complements it. So it is a very case-by-case basis. If you have multiple topics that work, like let's say you have multiple offers, at that point you could go through Amazon. There's a great tool called KDP Rocket. Now I believe it's called Publisher Rocket, which will show you like the popularity of a keyword. So if you have two different topics and you are equally fine with writing a book on one or the other, look on Amazon, see which of those two keywords are more popular and have high demand, but not as much competition, because there is that mixed element also. You don't want to pick a high demand thing that also has too much competition. Find the best keyword using that tool, and then I would write the book on that.
So how important is becoming a bestseller with your Amazon books? I know there's a lot of controversy on that, and some people say, yeah, it's important to have a bestseller. Other people say, no, it's not. Being an author is good enough. What's your opinion on that?
I think there are so many, like if you look at the top speakers, the ones who are getting paid the most, almost all of them have a best-selling book. Like it's not like for someone like Gary Vaynerchuk or like anyone you could think of, like they're not being like introduced as author. They're being introduced as like best-selling author, or like 3-time best-selling author, like 5-time best-selling author. So I'd say having that bestseller status is really important, because it indicates demand. It indicates people are picking up copies of your book, because it's super easy now to be an author. I mean, technically you could just like write 10 pages, put it on Amazon, and there's your book. So, I mean, there's plenty of authors there, but the bestseller really gives you that distinguishing factor. And people who are coming across you for the first time, who have no idea who you are, they see that bestseller, that's social proof, which will help you sell more copies of your book and get on more stages to be able to charge higher for your services.
I think that's really good advice. You were a Wall Street Journal bestselling author and a USA Today bestselling author. Which of your books was that designation for?
That designation was for one of my books, Write and Grow Rich. It was a book that myself and 23 other authors collaborated on. We each provided a chapter. And that's another big thing. Like if you could collaborate on a book with a bunch of people who will share it out, and it really makes the marketing a lot easier, because one of the biggest mistakes people do with the marketing is they do it all by themselves. Write and Grow Rich, it was all of us promoting. We all got a buddy to promote, so maybe 50 to 100 people were involved in making that book a bestseller, plus all the Amazon ads we were doing for it.
So you've mentioned ads several times since the very beginning of our conversation. What type of a budget should an author put aside, and when should you start marketing your book? Should it be before it's even published? And what kind of money are we looking at for a budget, realistically, in order to sell books and help you actually make a difference with that book?
So Amazon ads, you can only be doing it once your book is actually up. So that includes the pre-order phase, but the book has to be on Amazon for you to run ads for them. And when it comes to budgeting, Amazon's a little weird about it, because you can have one idea of what budget means and Amazon can have another idea. Now, it's not like you're going to say, I'm going to spend $5 per day, and then you look at your credit card statement, it's like, why am I getting a $500,000 charge from Amazon? That's not what it is. It's, if you say I'm going to spend like $5 per day, you'd be lucky if Amazon spends $1 for you. So they're going to spend a lot less than you actually put out there. All different Amazon ads I have set up, like if the Amazon actually spent what I told them to spend, it will be like over $1,000 a day. But even though I have all that different ads up, I tell Amazon you can spend this much money. Like it's only like maybe $5 that they spend a day. So like it's a very like beginner friendly platform in the sense where you're not going to be spending a ton of money on it, even if you set super high budgets. So that's just one thing to be aware of on Amazon, which is different from Facebook, where if you set it at like, 11 p.m., they will find a way to spend all of the money you set for that day. But Amazon is like if you set like $50 a day, you'd be very lucky if they spend $5 on you. So just something to think about.
That's really good information, because that's one of the things that most people are afraid of. They're afraid of spending too much or spending their money in the wrong way. So can you talk a little bit about how Amazon ads work? I have seen books in a listing where it'll say sponsored. So I take it that those are the books that have ads running for them.
Yep. Those are the books that have the ads running for them. And the way they work is you go into the Amazon ad place for Kindle publishers, and you get to choose which of your books you want to run in the ad. You can do a standard or a custom text. So standard pretty much meaning it shows up the way it is. Custom text being if you've ever seen like one of those sponsored things and you see like a little blurb about the book, that's the custom text that the author is using there. So those are the different ways that you could set up the ad. The important thing is getting keywords for your ad and choosing to rank for those keywords. So if you see like, if you type in a search and you see the book that says sponsored, that book is ranking for that keyword. Someone's paying to get that exposure. Now, the cool thing about Amazon is you don't pay for impressions. You only pay when someone actually clicks. So 1 million people could see it, but then no one clicks and you don't pay anything. So that is a fascinating thing about Amazon. You do set a cost per click for your ads anywhere. I mean, it depends on the price of your book. The more expensive your book is, the more margin you have. But it's different for each keyword. For some, like $1 per click isn't enough. And then like for a book that you're making $2 on, do you really want to run that keyword? Because you would have to make a sale 50% of the time, which is a really high number. Or can you find the keyword that maybe you do 25 cents or 50 cents on, or maybe a little higher than that, you get a higher return, like a higher percentage of people turning into sales. So it is looking at each individual keyword to see like where, like which ones are the best sales and which ones are your money pits, because sometimes you don't have a bad ad, you just have a bad keyword within your set.
So there's a lot of information. It's just like any type of search engine optimization related to keywords. You have to do that research and know exactly what's going on. So is that something that you help people with? Is that part of your services? Or tell me more about the services that you provide when you work with people.
So the services I provide people is based on where they're at. So I help people with their podcast, with their YouTube, start, grow, monetize for both of that. I also help you become a successful author. So like being able to sell copies of your book, being able to run Amazon ads. So those are some of the things that I do help people with, but it's really a case-by-case basis because each client is different. I don't have a cookie cutter service that I run people through. It's like for the podcasting, for example, because I do have a few clients for that. Like if someone's ready to grow their podcast, like that's what we're going to focus on. If someone hasn't launched their podcast yet and they need a few extra weeks to launch their show, we're going to go at their pace. So I really tailor each of my coaching experiences, services. I tailor them all to the individual. There's nothing that like one shoe size fits all.
So I have a question related to being an author and having a podcast and using podcasts, because I know right now podcasting is, let's say it's in an explosive growth phase, and a lot of people are looking at being guests on podcasts, having their own podcasts, and they want to be authors. So do you suggest that authors try to get on podcasts? And if so, what should they be doing when they're on a podcast? Should they be just positioning themselves and their services? Should they be trying to sell books? What is your advice for somebody who's looking at this, being an author, maybe being a podcast host or guest? What would your suggestion be to them to get started?
So I'll approach the guest first and then the host later because both of those are different but important in their own ways. So being a guest on other people's podcasts as an author really helps you because like a lot of people, like if you tell the host what bio you want read, you'll usually get some variation of that bio. So you could have like at the first minute, like, oh, like so-and-so is an author of this book. And then bam, just like that, people know you have a book. Now, you can also mention that book at the end of the episode or even make the whole episode about your book. So, for instance, I've had some people who, like my latest book, YouTube Decoded, like the episode that I've been on for some of the interviews has literally been called like YouTube Decoded with Marc Guberti. So, like the book title is in the name of the episode, which is sweet from a book marketing standpoint. Then you get your link in the show notes, all that good stuff. So, you could even get the host to buy your book. Like some of the hosts will say like, wow, like I really like what you're saying. I'm going to go grab a copy of your book. Or you could even ship out one of your copies to the host before the interview so they could read it, but also so that they could leave a review for you on Amazon. So I say there is a lot of benefit to being an author and being on different podcasts. You may also want to consider telling people about your services or the higher ticket things so that like, you know, like if you get someone into your coaching or your services, it makes you more money than if you get one person into your book. So that's one of those things where like my book's the end goal, know, like, trust, get people into my services. But if I could skip that step and just get people into my services, I'm fine with that too. For the podcast host standpoint, like what I do with Breakthrough Success and Profitable Public Speaking, you interview a bunch of people, some of them who may buy your book. My setup, as anyone can see on the video, it's got all my different books on it. So people will know the books I've written. So some of them will pick up copies. Some people, though, for my show, they will pay to get extra exposure. So I will do a lot of extra social media push for them. And what I've been doing lately is I've been asking for people's snail mail because that allows me to send a copy of my book to them and then ask for a review. So I can send them the copy. Like, thank you for being on my show. Or I'm looking forward to having you on the show. Here's my book. And then like 2 or 3 weeks later, reaching out, seeing if they would like to leave a review. And the great thing about being the host is that you could tell what book to send based on how the conversation is going. So I'm not going to send, like, let's say The Wealthy Author, one of my books, if you don't care about being an author. If you want to go to my retreat, or if you're interested, I would send you a copy of The Wealthy Author because it's more relatable. If you want to, if you're thinking about starting a podcast, I'm going to send you a copy of Podcast Nominations. So having that snail mail is really important for being able to create a better experience. So I'd say for authors, podcasting, guesting, and hosting, really valuable.
I absolutely agree. And I was looking at your video, your books behind you. So The Wealthy Author, number one, that's a really great title, because everyone, when they become an author, in their mind, they're thinking, oh, I'm going to make $1 million. And we all know that the odds of that probably aren't that great from the book sales.
Right.
However, if you have your book being part of what your services are, that's actually pretty realistic thinking over time that your book could help you create a lot of income. I wrote a book in 2011 called Ask Tammy, 365 Social Media Tips, Tricks, and Tools. And I can say that book has probably made me more than $500,000 just because it helped to put me and position me as somebody who had some expertise. So I really think that that's something that's true. So your retreat that's coming up in January, you're just in the planning stages now, I take it.
Yeah, we are just in the planning stages, but we've been planning for a while. We know what venue it's going to be at. It's going to, the theme is because we plan on doing 2 of these each year. So if you miss a January one, or if you can't commit to end of January, we will be having another one later in the year. We got to confirm dates and stuff like that. But it's definitely in the planning stages, but we're really we're ready to market. We are at that stage.
So if somebody's interested in working with you or attending that retreat, what would you say the top 3 reasons they should attend this event with you would be?
The first reason, if you want to be a 6-figure author, this event's going to show you how. The second is, if you want to be a 6-figure author and you've tried already, you've read books, you've gone through training courses, but you haven't been able to take action, you haven't been able to see it all click, the event is going to help you. And the third reason is, if you want to be surrounded by like-minded people who are going to keep you accountable, and be in Florida in the end of January instead of, in my case, New York, where all the snow is going to be, that's also another big plus. So we've got the accountability, we've got great people, we've got great content, we have a great atmosphere as well. So those would be reasons for joining the retreat. I guess similar reasons for working with me as well.
Well, I think that you would be really easy to work with just from having our conversation, and you're very knowledgeable and very quick with good information. So if somebody wants to connect with you, Marc, what would the easiest way be to do that?
There are, I guess, 2 key ways. One of them would be just shoot me an email, marc@marcguberti.com. That is Marc with a C. Because I know a lot of people do the K. So make sure you do that correctly. You type it in, and just let me know that you came from this episode, and I'd love to have a conversation with you, maybe jump on a free strategy call with you. So definitely shoot me an email if you're interested. The retreat, you can learn more about that at oceanwriting.com. We're going to be updating the site soon. Depending on when you're listening or watching this, the site may already be updated with the January event or the next event. Just basically depends on when you check it out. But there will be a lot of information posted on that site. If for some reason you can't register at that moment, because we do have to update the site, it depends on when everything is ready to go, just shoot me an email again, marc@marcguberti.com. Say, I listened to this episode, I want to go to your retreat. How can I join or get more information, something like that.
Okay, great. So it was oceanwriting.com?
Oceanwriting.com.
Oh, I like that. That's easy to remember, and it says exactly what it is. So everyone, again, we've been speaking with Marc Guberti, and of course he is an author expert on the topic of not only how to become a wealthy author, but he's the host of Breakthrough Success podcast and Profitable Speaking podcast. And he, of course, is the author of YouTube Decoded. And he also knows a lot about content marketing and repurposing. So everything that Marc has in his background is something that all of us need today. And I'm really excited about the fact that you're bringing your retreat to Florida, because I happen to live on the West Coast, so it's an easy drive for me to be able to attend. And of course, anyone who is into writing, and like you said, Marc, in January, Florida looks pretty darn good for people who are living in cold places. So before I let you go, do you have any last comments or anything that you'd like to add?
I would say, because I know, like, I want to think about the investment, and this isn't going to be a sell for the retreat, because I know we've been talking about it. I like, if people have been hearing us at this point, you're either interested, you're not, or you're in or you're out at this point, you're interested. Like, you have your decision decided. But when it comes to investments, like, I was really shy about investing for a while, because one of the things that I felt is like, I could just learn this stuff on my own by going through Google or something like that. But I've hired a podcast coach who I worked with for a few months that helped Breakthrough Success take off. I hired a YouTube coach who helped my channel to grow, make more revenue, helped me also write YouTube Decoded, because I had the knowledge to write YouTube Decoded. I enrolled also into a Pinterest program now. So I've invested like thousands of dollars into myself. Could I find this stuff online? Maybe, but I'm more in it for the accountability. So when I do suggest like making investments, like, I would look for like something where you're accountable and someone's going to push you, rather than you get thrown into some type of program with no one to push you, no accountability, and you just consume the content and hopefully you do it. So I would look for that kind of an atmosphere with any investment you want to make with your business or with your life.
Well, Marc, that's really good advice. And everyone, go check out Marc's website. It's MARC with a C, Guberti.com, or of course, oceanwriting.com. Everyone, this is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.